Hello, I'm with Peter Noble at the Victoria Legal Aid, and I'm here to talk to him this morning about the organisation's data strategy, about why they've created it and where they're up to with the work today. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks very much, Ian.
Can you just give us a bit of a background, please, about the organisation and about your role with the organisation?
Sure. Victoria Legal Aid is a statutory authority that's established to administer the legal aid fund in Victoria, so basically to provide legal assistance services to those who can't afford private representation in a range of areas of law, including family law, family violence, child protection, crime, and some areas of civil law. Legal aid works with and through elements of the legal assistance sector, including private lawyers and community legal centres, and also runs its own practice. My particular role is the Acting Managing Director at Legal Aid, but my substantive role is Executive Director of Services and Innovation.
Thanks, Peter. Am I right to say VLA employs hundreds of lawyers itself, but it engages with many, many more out in private practice?
That's right. In fact, of the legal work done with the fund, only about 30% is done by our own private practice, which, as you say, does comprise hundreds of staff. But it's still only 30% of the work that gets done overall. 70% is done by private practitioners.
Thanks very much. Now, you've started your data journey. You've created a data strategy, and you've started the first parts of the implementation of that strategy. Can you give us a bit of background about why you're on this journey?
Sure. There are a range of, reasons why we've chosen to embrace this path. For me, there was a particular incentive in my role in understanding effective service delivery and designing more innovative solutions, because we realised that it's very difficult to understand efficiency, effectiveness, impact and client experience if you don't have the data to support that. VLA, like many agencies, of course, does have an approach to data and does have a significant body of information which can support better design and better insight, but it really hasn't unleashed that potential and assembled it in a manner that can help the organisation not only perform but to transform. The organisation felt like it needed to have a data strategy because we wanted a clear plan to improve our data use that reflected our priorities and goals across the organisation, not just within particular directorates like mine. And we recognised that without that plan, we wouldn't collect the right data in the right format and at the right time. Now, it might sound self-evident, but having that strategy flowed out of a increasing recognition that data was important. It was an asset that we should really value, defend, improve and share. We recognised that we needed reliable data to continually improve our services to clients and to advocate for a fairer justice system, and that data would really help us demonstrate the value of our work.
And so you've created the strategy, and where are you up to with the implementation of the strategy?
Sure. So let me just spend a moment on the data strategy and perhaps reflect on the work of Data Agility and saying it's been great working with Data Agility. They have been very motivated to understand the business and to embed alongside our staff and not just engage with senior leadership, but to really understand the coalface experience of people who are collecting data and needing to apply it in their day-to-day work to improve, to understand how effective and efficient and productive they're being. And through that helped us map what our highs and lows were, organisation, areas of performance and areas of weakness, but also to articulate those structural elements of a strategy that could help us get clear. So that included articulating a vision and some key principles about data being reliable, consistent, accessible, and used. So not only did data agility do that, or help us with that current state assessment to understand our areas of weakness and strength, but helped us articulate a clear strategy, breaking it down in a manner that people would find accessible, because it can be an intimidating, I think, area of practice for many people in organisations who aren't familiar with the language or content. They helped us break it down and make it intelligible, but then also helped us move into implementation phase by articulating a program of work that had some priority projects within it. I guess like any analysis or audit that you've done, you could come up with 20, 30, 40 different things you could do to improve. I think data agility's real value has been to categorise those into projects that again were coherent, intelligible, and stagger those in a program of work so that we could have so that we could build towards the future that we desire.
Fantastic. And how's it going so far?
I think it's going pretty well. So data agility have helped with the strategy, articulating an implementation plan, and now the first steps. So we have had some priorities that have matched against areas of greatest pain for the business, which have been around some very foundational activities, including data governance and just getting business rules right in architecture around how we define different elements of the information that we collect and how we administer that, and who makes decisions at what point about our data assets. So we've articulated owners for different products and decision-making processes when changes need to be made to those. We've also, in addition to that data governance focus, had a real push on improving our reporting capability, especially internally, transforming from solid but relatively static reports into a much more dynamic format with better visualizations that are more accessible to our frontline workers who aren't as skilled yet on interpreting that information and applying it to improve their work. We've created a data portal that all of the different reporting reports can feed into, which makes it a much easier client experience, if I can describe it that way, for our staff to find the reports that they need and to request improvements or modifications.
And probably lastly, what's next?
Yeah, so the answer is plenty more. So part of our journey, and probably the journey of many organisations, is to recruit sufficient resources to really make the transformative leap in data. Some organisations are naturally concerned about the cost that it takes to make this commitment, but we believe that it stacks up in terms of the return and getting value through that investment. We have been moderately successful in recruiting some resources to really make some transformative appointments to drive the program of work forward under a single manager, but to also employ some key roles around data architecture and analysis, while building greater capability into our reporting team. So the first thing is we have recruited resources. We are getting more. So I think that's been a great organisational commitment to this work. The next is to really embed the data strategy as part of our overall ICT strategy, digital legal aid, and we have now done that and demonstrated that the data component of the work is really foundational to any future serious ICT changes to improve our client record management or customer record management in the organisation, and invest further in our billing systems in particular.
On that point, I think it's been a really interesting experience from a data agility perspective, where you've actually gone with the data strategy before you went with the ICT strategy.
Yeah.
And I think my sense is that that's been a great benefit to VLA, because it's actually focused on the data rather than just on the tools, if you like.
I think that's right, and probably it's occurred in the opposite manner in the past, where we've recognised a need, that is to, for example, administer our grants more effectively to the private profession, or to have a system of managing client information without being very clear on what data we need to collect through that process, what the purpose that data serves, how we can form a singular view of the client experience to understand how they track through the legal assistance sector and across multiple service providers. So if we haven't done that data work first, then we'll almost inevitably create a system that doesn't provide us with the intelligence that we need to improve and transform our services. We need to keep going with our reporting uplift project to keep making reports more effective and creating better insight. We then need to share that information more effectively and create the systems and structures with our agency partners to understand the experience of our clients within the justice and social services system. So it's not only to understand how we work as a little business, but how we can really elevate their experience across systems that they have to navigate. We will need to invest more in staff training around the use of the reports and the visualisations. We will need to establish clearer business rules about the creation of data products and when modifications are appropriate. Lastly, and this does lie in the future a little bit, is plugging our data in alongside other information from government, but plugging our data in to create more predictive analysis and forecasting of service pressures. At the end of the day, we run a business, we're trying to get legal assistance services to those who need it the most, and if we don't have a keen understanding of where those people are and the system pressures that are creating more or less need out in the community, then their experience is going to be very patchy. In some areas it will be strong, in others it will be very poor, because we haven't been able to bring our collective intelligence to predicting and anticipating that need. So it's a little bit in the future, but I would like to think not too far away.
Yeah, and I think that's probably a good place to wrap up, but it is this idea of access is tremendously important, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that at the end of the day is about our purpose. Yeah. And if we haven't acquitted our purpose, then we're not doing our job. And so the alignment of the data strategy to that purpose is critical.
Yeah. Peter, that's been absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thanks, Ian.